Today, we've got some sci-fi TV series that most people either slept on, gave up on too early, or just completely forgot existed. That's right. Today, we're talking about 5 near-perfect sci-fi shows that are hiding in plain sight in 2026. Also, all the streaming info for where to find each of these is in the first pinned comment below. I've got that covered for you. Now, let's get into it. So first up, we've got a show about 2 Secret Service agents who get reassigned to a massive warehouse in South Dakota that stores every dangerous, cursed, or historically significant artifact in human history. Something escapes, they go get it, rinse and repeat. Now that sounds like a pretty thin premise for a TV show, and it is, kind of, on paper. But here's what makes Warehouse 13 interesting. It uses that procedural format as a delivery mechanism for something that I don't think it gets nearly enough credit for, which is grief. Almost every artifact in this warehouse connects back to loss. Someone lost the person they loved. Someone had everything taken away from them. Someone felt something so strongly that they left a piece of it behind in an object, and that object is now dangerous. That's a genuinely smart idea, and they execute it consistently across 5 seasons. Now, the show does have a lighter tone. It's breezy, it's funny, it's got a lot of charm. Eddie McClintock and Joanne Kelly have chemistry that most procedural shows spend years failing to manufacture. Saul Rubinek as Artie is carrying a lot of emotional weight in this show, more than you'd expect. And Allison Scagliotti as Claudia is one of the most underrated supporting performances in genre television, in my opinion. It won a Saturn Award, it ran 5 seasons, and nobody talks about it anymore, which I find genuinely baffling. This is Warehouse 13, and at some point, it will make you cry about an inanimate object, and you will not see it coming. Next up, I've got a show from 1999 that I think has gotten completely overshadowed by 2 other sci-fi shows that came later, Battlestar Galactica and Firefly. And that's a shame, because in some ways, it's doing things neither of those shows did. The setup is this. An American astronaut gets launched into space on a test flight, accidentally falls through a wormhole, and ends up aboard a living ship full of alien fugitives. No way home, no backup, just this guy completely out of his depth, surrounded by creatures who have no reason to like him or trust him. And the thing about Farscape is it does not protect its main character. John Crichton starts the show as a charming, optimistic scientist, and the series spends 4 seasons taking him apart, psychologically, emotionally, morally. Ben Browder plays that unraveling really well, and it makes for compelling television in a way that slow, gradual character erosion usually does. But the character I'd point to if I'm trying to sell you on this show is Aaron Sun, played by Claudia Black. She's a soldier who was trained from childhood to feel nothing, and the entire series is about her, against her will and against everything she was built to be, learning to feel everything. She's one of the great sci-fi characters. Not great sci-fi female characters, great characters, period. I'll also add this is a Henson Company production, which means the alien characters have a physical presence that CGI-heavy shows simply cannot replicate. Rigel alone, this tiny deposed ruler operating at constant maximum arrogance from a hovering throne sled, has more personality than most lead characters on other shows. The finale cliffhanger was brutal enough to spark a fan campaign that actually got them a wrap-up miniseries. That's how much people who watched this show cared about it. This is Farscape. It deserves to be talked about more. Now, before I get to my top 3, if you're new here, this is the Series Finder channel. We do this kind of thing regularly, finding sci-fi shows, hidden gems, underrated stuff that fell through the cracks. If that's the kind of content you're into, the subscribe button is right there, and so is the like button. And both of them genuinely help the algorithm show this to more people who'd want to find these shows. Okay, moving on.
So I'll be upfront with you about this one. It's a CW show. It started in 2014 as a YA post-apocalyptic drama about teenagers getting sent back to a radioactive Earth. And the first few episodes look and feel exactly like what that sounds like on the CW. There's no way around that. But I'd ask you to stay with it through the back half of season 1, because at a certain point, this show makes a turn and starts asking a question it's not willing to give you an easy answer to. And that question is, does survival justify atrocity? And then it keeps asking that question from different angles with different characters for 6 seasons. By the time you get to season 2 and the Mount Weather arc, the 100 has become something else entirely. It's genuinely dark. It's about what you become when every choice available to you is a losing one. It's unpredictable in ways that most network television isn't, and the alliances shift so fast that you're constantly recalibrating who you're rooting for. Eliza Taylor is at the center of all of it, and she's excellent across every season. That almost never gets discussed because people dismiss the show before they get there. Now, the finale in 2020 divided a lot of fans. I understand why, but I thought it was at least trying to do something more ambitious than handing out a clean resolution, which I respect, even if the execution wasn't perfect. Dismissing The 100 because it aired on the CW is honestly the laziest take in television criticism, and I'd seen it repeated so many times. This is The 100. Start from season 1 and give it until the midpoint. That's all I'm asking. So Counterpart is a show I had genuinely forgotten existed until a few months ago when I was looking at J.K. Simmons' TV work and it showed up. I went back and watched it, and I cannot believe this show is not talked about more. The premise is this. There's a UN bureaucrat in Berlin named Howard Silk, and buried in the basement of his building is a portal to a parallel dimension, where a version of Earth has been developing separately for 30 years. And the two versions of Earth are now in a cold war with each other, running intelligence operations back and forth through this portal. J.K. Simmons plays Howard Silk. Both of them. One is meek, mild, spent his career in a low-level job shuffling papers, quietly devoted to a wife who's now in a coma. The other is a cold, calculating intelligence operative from the other side. Same face, completely different person. And the show puts them in scenes together, and what's remarkable is that by episode 2, you stop thinking about the technical achievement, and you just accept that you are watching two different people. Now, the sci-fi element here is almost secondary. What this show's really about is the consequences of choices you didn't make. What does the version of you that took the harder road look like 30 years later? It's a slow, melancholy, genuinely intelligent show, and it ran on Starz for 2 seasons before getting canceled, 1 season before it could close the story properly. Olivia Williams plays a parallel version of Howard's wife, and she matches Simmons at every level. The ending of season 2 is a cliffhanger, and that does sting, but I still think it's worth watching. And I think an unfinished great show is still a great show. This is Counterpart, and it will stick with you more than you expect it to. My number 1 pick is a Sci-Fi Channel adaptation of a Terry Gilliam movie from 1995, which is not a sentence that should inspire confidence. Adapting a beloved, strange, singular piece of cinema into a multi-season television series has a pretty poor track record, so I came into this one with low expectations, and I watched the entire thing in a week. Showrunner Terry Matalas, who later went on to run Star Trek Picard Season 3, which he also pulled off, took the 12 Monkeys premise and built one of the most intricately plotted time travel narratives the genre has produced. And I don't mean intricately plotted in a way that's impressive but cold. I mean it in the sense that the show knows exactly where it's going, holds to its own internal logic throughout, and then uses that logic to hit you emotionally in ways you didn't see coming. Aaron Stanford and Amanda Scholl are the core of it. A man sent back in time to stop a plague, a virologist who becomes his anchor across decades, and their dynamic carries the show, even when the mythology gets complicated. But Emily Hampshire as Jennifer Goines is the performance I'd point someone to. She should be comic relief. She ends up being the emotional heart of multiple storylines. It's one of those performances that's hard to explain without watching it. Season 3 is largely set in 1944, and it takes swings that a higher budget, more prestigious show would have been too cautious to attempt, and they land. And here's the thing about 12 Monkeys that is genuinely rare in television. It ends on purpose. All the threads are resolved. There's no cancellation cliffhanger, no truncated finale, no story just stopping mid-sentence. It's a show that knew where it was going and got there. That almost never happens.
I came in skeptical. I was stunned by the time I finished. This is 12 Monkeys, and I think it deserves to be remembered as one of the best sci-fi sagas of the 2010s. Not just a solid adaptation, but a genuine achievement in the genre. So that's the 5. Leave a like on the video if you found something worth watching here, and subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of content. I put out 2 new videos every week, and I'll keep making them as long as you keep watching them. See you on the next one.